Welcome back. Here we go with the next version of the n8n workflow generator that I previously published. This is the version 2.3, and as you can see here, we're going to start with a form instead of a chatbot this time, so that we can give it a little, just that's sort of the description that you want for the workflow, and then it'll go ahead and generate it based on some of the knowledge that I've already added to the workflow. And you'll see those details here. But basically from this form, you can submit your email. If you have a example JSON file that you'd like to include for the workflow generator, you can include that. And then ultimately you want to try and give it a very good description. You might want to, populate, let's say, ask ChatGPT or Claude to create a workflow description for you. Okay, so this is the request I'm submitting into the workflow generator. You can see here it's a voice AI concierge agent, purpose seamlessly handle inbound phone calls, understand caller intent, craft a personalized AI-driven response, and complete any follow-up actions, all without a single manual step or visible code in the description. Okay, so it looks like it's asking for Twilio, etc. All right, so let's submit this, and then we will look at the results here in a little bit. I just want to also put a disclaimer out there saying that this isn't going to be the perfect solution in terms of publishing and generating the workflow, but it's going to generate a pretty good amount of what you need. You're going to have to go in and sort of fine tune, and you'll see there's some errors that happen, but overall, to give it a description and have it create the baseline for you to build from, I think it's a definite step forward from what we had before. And again, I've given it the knowledge, the vector database, and sort of the intelligence there, so that it has a lot more reference material to pick from my previous version of this. So let's see what it did, and I'll go into the workflow itself in the next section. Okay, so here is the actual workflow, the next iteration of it, a little bit more complicated than what we previously had. And you can see here that on form submission, we're going to check if a JSON file was included as part of that submission. If it was, we're going to extract that data. And you can see here in this set node, we're going to grab the email, the workflow description, and the submitted ad information. And I didn't specifically call out the JSON file itself because I'm using this little option here where it says include other input fields. So everything that's coming into this node, it's just going to grab everything and have it available for the next set of nodes. Okay, so you can see here, let me just zoom in a bit so it's a little easier. Here is our main workforce, the tools agent. And per my previous video, we now have a Postgres vector database of I think I put in 300 plus workflow files, as well as some tips and guides and cheat sheets. Again, this was sort of the material that was created by Mark Kashev. I also noted that in my previous video. He had created a video where he was using Claude to do the generation, but I wanted to bring it into n8n and be able to have the workflows created directly inside of your instance and have it ready to go, so that you can avoid the whole copying and pasting of the JSON files, etc. But just have it all reside here inside of n8n. So I was, because he shared all that material, I basically uploaded all of that into a Postgres vector database and is available now for this tools AI agent. I also put the think node in here, again, for some additional analysis if necessary. Then you can see here that I've connected the two n8n GitHub repository. The first one is the documentation repository, and the second one is the test workflows that they have available also in a separate repository. So as much reference material as possible for the AI agent up here, And then I'm using the 4.1 nano. You guys can play around with the different models and see if that changes the ultimate output. But the real sort of workhorse here is this prompt where we're looking at the description, workflow description, the JSON file if included as part of the request. And then here, first and foremost, it's going to go through the retrieval plan. And as you can see here, I've added these files. And again, per my previous video, we're including this file name metadata as part of the vector embedding. So I can call it out specifically and make sure that the AI agent here is going to reference as much of that material as possible. It's also going to look at some keywords from the workflow description and see if there's anything relevant from the vector database. And then the next step will be to actually just build the workflow, and then the output is the correct JSON format. All right, so that's the sort of the user prompt, and you can see here the system prompt where it's just some reinforcement of the user prompt above. All right, so kind of some of it's repeated, but that's the workhorse here for the tools agent. And then once the output is ready, it'll, again, we set a different set node. And then before it publishes into your n8n instance, we're going to do some JSON validation, make sure that n8n will accept that JSON. If there is some errors in formatting, then I have another AI agent that will go through and fix that JSON here. All right, so not too complicated in terms of the prompt, but we just want to make sure that it's going to be accepted. And I have another set node to set the final JSON before it's published into your n8n instance. And here, if you wanted to, you can actually send it out for send an email confirmation once it's ready back to the user who submitted the form. All right, so that's the full workflow. Let's see what the results were from that previous request. Before we look at the results, I just want to let you know that this workflow, as well as access to the Postgres vector database, is available to our community members. And you can see here at watt-ai.com/community. You can take a look at what we also offer inside the community. One of the things that I think is unique to our community is the fact that every month we do a vote of workflow ideas and requests, as you can see here in the link above. And so this month, the community has voted to recreate Ben AI's SEO agency in a box. I think that's a package that he has put out there. I don't think it's publicly available. So we want to see if we can recreate some of the pieces from that workflow. We've already built some of those with our SEO as well as content creation workflows, but this is what the community has voted for, and we're going to try and go ahead and recreate that for the month of May. For April, it's essentially this workflow generator tool that you guys are looking at. That's what we will be publishing for our April workflow. And then after we're done with this May, obviously we're going to move on to June. So come and take a look at what's available for the community here, guys, at watt-ai.com/community. And again, this workflow will be available within that community if you are so inclined. All right, let's move on to the results. So let's take a look at the actual request here. It was to create a voice AI concierge agent, seamlessly handle inbound phone calls, understand caller intent, craft a personalized AI-driven response, and complete any follow-up actions. Okay, so this was what the workflow received, and this is the workflow that it created. So you can see here it followed the instructions to create a note referencing the files that it accessed from the vector database. Looks like we have the Twilio voice webhook, download the recording, save it to an S3 bucket, transcribe the audio. Looks like we have one here that's unclear on how it was supposed to handle that. This also is a wrong AI agent. Using, looks like 11 labs to do the text to speech. Could probably use OpenAI, but okay, decent result. Has a lot of the pieces that if you didn't know how to actually construct this, you might have had to sort of figure that out. But I think there are enough pieces here that you could build a final workflow from. Again, you know, from what I've seen, this might have to be reworked a bit, but let me know what you guys think. This, again, it's not meant to be the final sort of output of a perfect workflow. Similar to how, you know, in vibe coding, you will get a result. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but you do need to sort of rework it, fine tune it, massage it into the final output that you need it to be. But I think overall it did a decent job of giving you enough of a foundation to build workflows from. So I'm going to give this one about a 6 out of 10. I've seen some 9s and a few 10s that have come out. I think it depends on the description that you give it, similar to any sort of prompt activity that you're going to do with any sort of large language model. So let me know what you guys think. Again, this is available in the community along with the access to the Postgres vector database. So hope to see you guys there, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.